Here is a Lasko 12-inch oscillating table top fan, model 2150. This is old enough to be made in the USA without the asterisk that says it's pretty much just made in China. It has a 3-speed motor, adjustable vertical tilt, convenient front-mounted push-button controls, 90-degree oscillation, allegedly high-impact construction, whatever that means, two-tone white and frost gray, which I imagine is referring to the base being white and the blades being frost gray, a 1-year warranty, and it is UL listed. Has the same features on the other side with a different graphic, or it's probably the same graphic just cut off, and same on the other side. This is one of those boxes that opens up like this, which Lasko has been using for a very long time. I remember purchasing a 2009 model in the early 2010s. I don't know if the model 2009 was discontinued yet or it was just towards the end, but I had bought it when it was still readily available, and it was the same style packaging as this, and that was, I don't know exactly how old this is, but it was probably at least 20 years later. It's interesting to see how little a lot of the Lasko products changed over the years. And the 2150 was on the market for decades, even into the early 2010s. More or less the same thing. It looked almost identical up through the 90s, 70s to 90s, which I guess it makes sense. If you have a product that works good, it sells good, why change it? Something that is kind of rare nowadays. So here's the base. This is new old stock, but it's been opened before, so I don't know how much of the original packaging is present or what's been tampered with, etc. So this, in terms of the base and so forth, this does very much look like the ones that you've found from the 70s and the 80s. It is, I don't know what the information says. It's kind of screwed up as far as the amperage is concerned. I think that someone said the last digit is the year, so this might be a 93 model perhaps. It has to be before 97, because I believe in 97 the rear guard went to the plastic form factor, and then in 98 both guards went to the plastic form factor, or something like that, in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. So this one being all plastic has got to be, early to mid 90s at newest. Everything looks to be in pretty good shape. The guards are still pretty shiny, the chrome's in good shape. Here's the blade. I have some documents here. And that. Authorized service stations. Imagine that, taking the fan somewhere to actually get it repaired. Most of these look to be appliance shops. Oh, that's kind of cool. This is an original package of grow clips. This is how they would have come. I don't even really want to take those out of there. This is one of 94, so I think the fan being 93 would make sense. Motor is permanently lubricated, no oiling required. What a bunch of cap. Está en español también. So we'll need to open this to get the parts out here. But I really don't think that I want to use those grill clips. I used to subscribe to the whole theory of don't use new old stock equipment, keep it in the box, whatever. And then a couple years ago I decided that was stupid and I started using all the equipment I have. But there are still rare cases where something like this, you may never see another one of these, you know, new in the package like this. So I think I'm going to leave this alone. I wonder if you can still order these. Lasko does offer a pretty decent amount of parts, and the Air King, whatever that 9-inch oscillating model is, does still come with these. I don't recall anything notable about them being packaged up like this when I bought them. I wonder how it comes. Maybe it comes just fully assembled. I really don't remember. But I wonder if you could buy these still. I have to check into that. So the motor is extremely stiff. It's not permanently lubricated. That's just not a thing. It will probably free up after we run it for a little bit, but this should really have a full service done on it. We should go through the whole thing and oil the motor, lubricate the bearings, and so forth. The motor looks to be very, very well built still, just from what I can see through the vents. I'll try to get a quick shot of that before we put the whole thing together here. See, the windings are all tied up in there nicely. Looks like it's a reasonable gauge of wire. It's nothing crazy, but it's not hair thin like the stuff you get today is. Looks like it was varnished relatively well. I don't see too many loose pieces flying around in there. Yeah, that's pretty decent. It's amazing how quickly the quality went downhill. In the 90s, this stuff was still very good. And then, well, that wouldn't last much longer. I can't get the camera to go back on the tripod. This vintage tripod is great, but I do miss the quick disconnect for times like this. This is a pain in the neck right now. Nice wasting time in the video. Usually it's not this bad. I don't know why the whole thing is all messed up here. Alright, there we go. Okay. And we'll get a better look at the motor when we do the teardown for service. The assembly is very simple. Really no reason that everybody shouldn't be able to do this. The blade is, I don't really say it's warped terribly, but it doesn't look perfect to me. And I wonder if that just has something to do with the way it was put in the box. You know, if the car was like pushing on the edges or something. This doesn't look 100%. It's like 98%, I would say. It's pretty good. Nothing like those stupid D blades. Oh, I shouldn't say they're stupid. They're not stupid. The D blades are great, but they're warping. This is plastic threads in there, which I don't like. You know, they're probably well made enough that they're not going to strip out, but it's not threading on here nicely at all. Oh, it's cross-threading. Maybe that's just the way it is. It's very stiff. I don't like the feel of that at all. I feel like this isn't right, and I can't get it to go on any other way. Well, maybe just those few RPMs has already kind of freed up the motor a little bit. Yeah, the blade is severely out of clock. I bet it sat in the package in a certain way that kind of misaligned it or something. That's unfortunate. No, I really just don't want to take those grow clips out of the package, so I'm just going to connect it with a couple wire ties here. Yeah, it's taking more time than it's worth. Alright, it's all assembled. This is a little marked up there. We'll clean that off later. So that's what it looks like. The one I grew up with had the plastic rear guard, so I guess it would have been a 97 model most likely. And the base had gone to the dial control, not the buttons. No fuse plug yet. That wouldn't be for a couple more years. Cord is pretty nice. It's relatively flexible, doesn't have too much memory to it. It really does seem like it's pretty good quality still. Alright, we have 118 volts. There we go. It's very scratchy. Definitely needs to be re-lubricated before it sees any serious usage. Yeah, it doesn't seem too badly out of balance, but it's running very slow, so it might not be encountering any balance issues yet. Very quiet, reasonably powerful. Decent. Power information is 0.28 amps, 33 the watts, and 1 the power factor, right on the nose. The blade is totally out of clock. I mean, horribly out of clock. Look at that. That's probably 2 or 3 mil difference on some of these blades. That is going to cause an issue with the balance, most likely. That stinks. I'm pretty sure that's a packaging issue. Although then again, Lasko is notorious for not being able to mold a blade even halfway reasonably well. So maybe that's how it's always been. The median. Yeah, now I can feel the out of balance issue. Pretty good increase in speed. I can feel the air across the room. I do have the heat pump on right now, so that's pushing the air around too, and I can't really tell just how far it's going, but about 4 or 5 feet away, plenty of air still. That is 0.3 the amps, 36 the watts, and 0.99 the power factor. That moves some pretty good air on high. And that's 0.36 the amps, 41 the watts, and 0.95, now 0.96, 0.9, kind of going back and forth. It's a reasonable power factor on all speeds. It's pretty powerful. It's not quite as good as the translucent bladed ones were, but it's certainly still very respectable. And the blade, the balance isn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it definitely needs to be corrected. Now let's see how these oscillations work. Yeah, it's stiff too. You can hear the speed changing. It's almost stalling out on low. And it stalled out. So that really needs to be lubricated pretty desperately. That's not the bearings, that's the oscillation apparatus. Runs fine. And the bearings I'm sure need oil too, but that was the oscillation apparatus. Runs fine on all 3 speeds when stationary. Well, that's pretty cool. It needs some service, but it's in great cosmetic condition. This is one of the models I wanted to find. It wasn't particularly high on the list, but since I grew up with the 2150 that had the rear plastic guard, metal front guard, I kind of wanted to find all the different variations that were available of this model, and this is one that I did not have. And having the box is pretty cool too.